Good afternoon, all of you. Nice to see you all again. It's been a long break, but hopefully now we can keep going ahead and finish up the leftover chapters. Good afternoon, everyone joining me now. Good afternoon, Abhay. Chapter 7 will be in the end, Abhay. Chapter 7 बिल्कुल end में करेंगे. Chapter 6, 8, 10, 11, 12 सब करने के बाद. Alright, will be in the end. Alright, perfect. So good afternoon to all of you again. And let's get going with agriculture. ये अच्छी बात ये है कि ये बहुत ही important chapter है, लेकिन thankfully economic survey ने इस बार थोड़ी राहत दी है, तो थोड़ा छोटा रखा है इसको. It's an important chapter, but it has been kept relatively, smaller in size. Perfect. Good afternoon, everybody meeting me now. Thank you for joining. So let's see this. First things first, why are we bothered about agriculture? Because of solid forward and backward linkages. Supplies raw material, that is a forward linkage that it creates. Supplies food, and backward linkages is demands finished goods. Another backward linkage is demands industrial inputs. Industrial inputs like fertilizer, industrial inputs like pesticide, tractor. All this is what agriculture demands, and therefore it means that if agriculture does well, then overall the country does well. If agriculture does well, then overall the country does well. And they say that agriculture in the last 6 years has done very well. Last 6 years, average growth rate of agriculture is 4.6%, which is taken as one of the highest that we have seen in India. And it also says that in the last 3 years, in spite of COVID pandemic and economic slowdown, agriculture has been rising at around 3.3%. Also it says that agricultural exports became greater than $50 billion in 2021-22. Agricultural exports became greater than $50 billion in 2021-22. And survey says that there are reasons for this. ये जो agricultural growth नज़र आ रहा है, ये जो agricultural progress नज़र आ रही है, सर्वे ने उसके लिए कारण बताए हैं. उन्होंने कहा that this period has been quite buoyant, और ये है भी, ये इतना high growth agriculture का इंडिया में काफ़ी rarely देखने को मिला है past में भी देखने को. We have seen agricultural growth doing good in the past, but rarely we have seen such a good growth seen in the past also. So survey says that this is based on implementation of Dalwai Committee's recommendation. Dalwai Committee was framed for Committee for doubling farmers' income. दलवाई कमेटी डबलिंग फार्मर्स इनकम के लिए थे और उस वक्त उन्हें एक्सप्लेन किया गया था. नाउ व्हेन यू लुक एट दिस, फर्स्ट थिंग इज इम्प्रूवमेंट इन क्रॉप एंड लाइवस्टॉक प्रोडक्टिविटी. प्रोडक्टिविटी पे ध्यान दीजिए. प्रोडक्टिविटी का मतलब होता है उत्पादन करने की क्षमता, कैपेसिटी टू प्रोड्यूस, दैट इज प्रोडक्टिविटी. So focus on improving farmers' capacity to produce, diversification towards high value crops like oil seeds, horticulture. तो wheat और rice की इकोनॉमी को थोड़ा कंट्रोल करें और ऑयल सीड्स, हॉर्टिकल्चर, ऑर्गेनिक फूड, इनके तरफ लेकर जाएं. बेटर रिसोर्स एफिशिएंसी, दैट इज proper choice of water, proper choice of fertilizer, land use, that is better resource efficiency, enhanced cropping intensity, that is more use of land, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लैंड एरिया अभी भी इंडिया में है, ऑलमोस्ट 20% ऑफ आवर टोटल क्रॉप्ड एरिया, which is using growing only one crop in a year. So that is for enhanced use of the land, and then improvement in real prices received by farmers. Real prices का मतलब होता है price after adjusting for inflation in other commodities. सोचो अगर किसान का एक कोई सामान बिक रहा है 100 रुपए का और बाकी चीज़ों का दाम 20 रुपए है, तो किसान 5 चीज़ें खरीद सकता था, और अगर यही सामान बिके 200 रुपए का और बाकी चीज़ों का दाम 40 रुपए हो जाए तो रियल प्राइस कुछ भी नहीं बदला, वही रह गया जो था. सो व्हेनेवर वी टॉक अबाउट रियल प्राइस, इफ अ फार्मर वाज अर्लियर सेलिंग for 100 rupees, but price of other products was 20 rupees, then in real terms the farmer was getting 5 rupees kind of for 5 units. If the farmer now sells at 200, but other commodity price has also increased to 40, in real terms it makes no difference. The farmer's purchasing capacity has not gone up. So when we say real prices should go up, the focus is farmers' purchasing capacity should go up. And then shift from farm to non-farm occupation, shifting to rural industrialization, service sector provision, shifting to alternate animal husbandry, and so on. So from agriculture to non-agricultural purposes. Now, when we talk about the next aspect of it, that, and yes, one more thing that the government has done apart from this is promoting institutions like farmer producer organizations to improve bargaining capacity of the farmer. ये एक और काम गवर्नमेंट कर रहे हैं. What the government is doing is, it has promoted a lot of farmer producer organization to improve bargaining capacity of the farmers, that promote this and promote bargaining capacity of the farmers. Farmer producer organizations जो हैं, ये organizations होते हैं जो कंपनीज एक्ट की तरह रजिस्टर्ड होते हैं. इनमें छोटे किसान, बड़े किसान, इनके अलावा फार्म गुड प्रोड्यूस करने वाले लोग, व्यापारी, ये सभी लोग पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं. फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस आर रिकॉर्डेड लाइक कंपनीज, sometimes through Companies Act, and in small farmers, large farmers, traders, farm good aggregators, everybody can participate in it, and especially it is meant for small farmers and small agricultural traders, and as they come together produce, it results in giving them better bargaining power. It also helps in better coordination. Sometimes there can be a small agricultural commodity producer and there can be a small farmer. As they start coming together, availability of raw material for the producer and availability of market for the farmer, it all starts becoming a reality. In 2019-20, the Prime Minister had announced from the Red Fort that India will plan to develop 10,000 farmer producer organization by 2024. At the moment, we have developed more than 3,500 farmer producer organization, and the expectation is that this will contribute a lot in promoting future development of India, especially in agriculture. All right. Not related to this, Abhya. So if you could just leave, a message for me. Open source seed procurement is buying seed from any particular source, but please leave it for me and I can give you a better idea gradually. Let's see this. Then, the next thing that we go on to, apart from that, the survey says that there are steps taken by the government. MSP support is one of them. So, survey has highlighted certain steps that the government has taken for the promotion of these activities. Now, when you look at the promotion of these activities, the steps taken by the government consists of MSP support, and that is about making sure that give farmers better support from within rather than working for without. इसमें सर्वे ये बोलते हैं that जब ये MSP दिया गया है, आप फिर याद रखना 22 क्रॉप्स पे MSP दिया जाता है. MSP is given on 22 crops, and apart from that 22 crops MSP, there are 2 crops on which MSP is given based on the other crops, and then on sugarcane it is fair and remunerative price. MSP support में सर्वे एक बात हाईलाइट करते हैं, higher increase in MSP for oilseeds and horticulture, and 50% of cost recovered for sure by MSP. So, survey says that now there is a formula through which we give money on MSP, 50% of cost is surely recovered through MSP, and there is a high contribution on MSP, and more MSP is given on oil seeds, more MSP is given on horticulture, so that there is a better a development of these crops rather than farmers only concentrating on wheat and rice. Also, what the government has tried doing under MSP is that it has tried improving across on how quickly the MSP can reach the farmers. Then there is another thing related that the government has done, that is formation of farmer producer organizations that I just discussed with you. The government has also gone for encouraging crop diversification, as we just discussed. And how have they gone for encouraging crop diversification? By making sure that the government can promote more and more of avenues like Fasal Bima Yojana, E-NAM, encouraging farmers to market their product in various places, encouraging farmers to have insurance for their product, and all that has promoted crop diversification. And then there is improvement in productivity in agriculture through Kisan drones. It has also been through Kisan Rail, through Kisan Udaan 2.0, so all that has come across. Kisan Rail has also been introduced, and Kisan Udaan 2.0 has also been introduced. So all these things the government has been doing, and then of course creation of agricultural infrastructure fund, under which the government has said that interest subvention will be given and loans will be given for development of post harvest agriculture up to 7%, and this scheme will be there from 2021 to 31-32. We will be talking about these schemes in detail, but first you just keep this in mind as some of the steps taken by the government in line with the recommendations of the committee that the agricultural food production has developed in India. Then the survey also suggests that overall agriculture and allied sector has shown a resilient growth. Overall agriculture and allied sector has shown a resilient growth, as I was telling you. In fact, the interesting numbers are these, that these were the years 2016-17 and 17-18 when agricultural growth crossed 6%. It's a very big rarity in India. अब तुम अपने एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से क्या याद रखोगे? अगर तुम्हें बोलते हैं agricultural growth has been continuously rising in India in the last 5 years, the answer is false. If they say agricultural growth has been continuously rising in India in the last 3 years, still the answer is false. If they say agricultural growth has been falling in the last 3 years, the answer is true. But important thing is that we had robust agricultural growth 1920, in spite of a high base, still a robust agricultural growth 2021, and in spite of COVID pandemic, comparatively robust agricultural growth 21-22. even in 22-23, agricultural sector is expected to grow at close to 4%. That has been very rare in India, that agriculture has continuously grown approximately 4% for such a long period of time. Good evening everyone who has joined me now. So that is the basic idea to keep in mind, that whenever we look at this, this is the basic idea to keep in mind. Then the survey also says that government investment has remained consistent, and this is public investment numbers. If you look at from 2011-12 till 2020-21, this is about public investment as a percent of agricultural GDP. Public investment as a percent of agricultural GDP, and this is private investment as a percent of agricultural GDP. एग्रीकल्चर में इन्वेस्टमेंट किस चीज़ में होता है? इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी डेवलपमेंट, क्रॉप स्टोरेज फैसिलिटी डेवलपमेंट, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन फैसिलिटी डेवलपमेंट, ड्राइंग फैसिलिटी डेवलपमेंट, मेजरमेंट पैकेजिंग फैसिलिटी डेवलपमेंट, crop protection before harvesting facility development. All these places is where you invest in agriculture. So it is, the survey shows that due to a robust amount of public investment in agriculture, which has remained in the zone of 4.5 approximately to 5.5%. Private investment has also remained high, around 9.3% in this whole zone. There have been years in which it went down slightly, but overall private investment has remained high in agriculture. So total investment in agriculture has remained robust. Public investment is investment done by government. Private investment is investment done by people. Alright, I hope Nandini you get the point. Alright, then it also says, the survey says that there have been challenges that have persisted in Indian agriculture, like adverse impact of climate change. Even now we are seeing it. Today morning I was saying this to a good friend of mine, very good friend in fact, she happens to be my wife also, that we have never seen April like this in Delhi for a long time. कि हमने अप्रैल बड़े दिनों से ऐसा नहीं देखा, बारिश हो गई, सर्दी लग रही है, रात को चादर लेना पड़ रहा है, पंखा चलाना मुश्किल हो रहा है. ये क्लाइमेट चेंज का असर है, लेकिन इसमें खुश होने की बात नहीं है. मार्च इतना गर्म था, फरवरी इतना हॉट था, तो एग्रीकल्चर के लिए बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है ये. दैट काइंड ऑफ वेदर फ्लक्चुएशन इज अ बिग चैलेंज फॉर एग्रीकल्चर. किसी ने मुझे एक व्हाट्सएप जोक भी भेजा था कि आप ये अभी जो हालत हो गई है, ये जो इंद्रदेव बिना फसल खड़ी है, तैयार है, और उसमें बारिश करवा देते हैं, तो इसीलिए दानव कूट देते थे उनको. खैर कुछ लोग इस पे बुरा भी मान गए, बोले आप भगवान के लिए ऐसा बोले. वो जानते ही नहीं है कि इंद्र देवता थे ही नहीं. इंद्र जो भी देवों में राजा होते थे उसको पदवी दी जाती थी उनको, और इस संसार में हजारों इंद्र हुए. तो इसीलिए कभी कभी हमें अपने वेदों का, अपने चीज़ों का ज्ञान नहीं होता, पर हम दम्भ भरते हैं कि हमें वो है. बट एनीवे, सॉरी फॉर द डाइग्रेशन, बट आई थॉट आवर सोसाइटी नीड्स इट बैडली नाउ. Anyways, so coming to this, so challenges still persist in Indian agriculture. Adverse impact of climate change, that is one factor that happens, which I was just telling you. What does it do? It reduces productivity. Fragmented land holdings, that's another challenge that happens. Fragmented land holdings imply that you are talking about very small size of land. अब इंडिया में आज के दिन पे अगर बात करें, according to agricultural census 2019-20, 1.08 hectare is the average size of land. अब इसमें अच्छी खेती नहीं हो पाती. So fragmented land holding, suboptimal farm mechanization, that is machine used on farm has been suboptimal, it has not been as much. Then low productivity. लो प्रोडक्टिविटी इज़ अ बिग चैलेंज इन इंडिया. वीट में हम सबसे ज़्यादा प्रोडक्टिव हैं, लेकिन वीट में भी हमारी प्रोडक्टिविटी इवन चाइना के मुकाबले आधी है, और साउथ कोरिया के मुकाबले 1/4 और अमेरिका के मुकाबले 1/8. तो हम सोच सकते हैं कि स्कोप कितना है. लो प्रोडक्टिविटी मीन्स लो कैपेसिटी टू प्रोड्यूस. वीट क्रॉप इन विच वी आर हाईली प्रोडक्टिव, इवन एज कंपेयर्ड टू चाइना, we are doing pretty badly, leave alone South Korea or USA. And then there is disguised unemployment in agriculture. That's another big challenge. Disguised unemployment is people employed, people supposedly working but not actively producing anything. When people are in that situation, we say they are disguisedly unemployed. कि कहने के लिए तो वो काम कर रहे हैं लेकिन उनकी उत्पादकता शून्य है. Supposedly they are working but their marginal product is zero. The extra that they are contributing is zero. That is the basic idea that we have. Better agricultural demand, why not? You can say that. Then next thing is rising input costs. Cost of fertilizer is rising because of Russia-Ukraine war. Cost of electricity is rising with the rising crude oil price. Cost of seed is rising because a lot of it is now going in disarray. So all that is rising input costs for agriculture, and these are the challenges that still persist in Indian agriculture. ये तुम्हारे मेंस में भी काम आएगा, प्रीलिम्स में भी काम आएगा, पॉइंट्स भी याद रख लोगे और इनको इलैबोरेट कर लोगे 15-15 वर्ड में तो 100 वर्ड क्रिएट हो जाते हैं. If you remember these points, elaborate in 15 odd words, 100 words get created. So my suggestion will be that these things you should keep in mind. Good enough. Then the survey says that there has been a consistent increase in food grain production in India. We were producing 252 million tons of food grains in 2014-15, and now we produce 315 million tons of food grain. You know, the only challenge in this is a lot of dominance of wheat and rice, while we should gradually focus on producing more pulses, more millets, and we should also focus on production of more oil seeds and all. So crop diversification is a challenge, no doubt. But yes, as far as food security is concerned, we have gone far ahead of the schedule, no doubt about it. जहाँ तक फूड सिक्योरिटी का प्रश्न है, हम काफ़ी अब अच्छा कर रहे हैं फूड ग्रेन प्रोडक्शन में. We are doing pretty well for ourselves in the food grain production system. So that is another thing that we go by. If you look at it, the good news is even oil seed production, which was slightly above 25 million tons in 2014-15, is now touching almost 35 million tons, and that's another good news that we are having. Pulse production, which was in the zone of 17-18 million tons, has continuously gone up. There has been some blinks in between, but again we see it at around 24-23 million tons by 2025 million tons by 2021-22. So we see some good news for ourselves with respect to food grain production. Survey also says that area under rice cultivation has come down in the last year, but production of rice has gone up mainly because of increased productivity. That's another thing that they mention, that area under rice production has come down, but in the last year, but production of rice has gone up, and that has been due to increased productivity. Then see, this is for MSP, as I was telling you, for selected Rabi and Kharif crop. So when you look at MSP for selected Rabi and Kharif crop, if you see, the growth rate in paddy has been relatively subdued. The growth rate in maize is relatively subdued, but if you look at pulses, the growth rate is steep. Tur, moong, urad. That shows that the government is trying to promote pulse production more. Similarly, groundnut, mainly used for oil. Soya again used for oil. Cotton, again cotton long staple as a cash crop. So government is trying. Again wheat, it has been subdued. You see, मैं चाहता हूँ तुम बस ये ट्रेंड नोटिस करो. Wheat, राइस, मेज, इनमें सरकार ने बढ़ाया है MSP, लेकिन उतना ज़्यादा नहीं बढ़ाया. ऑन द अदर हैंड, अगर ऑयल सीड्स को देखो और पल्सेस को देखो, तो जो इंक्रीज है वो बहुत तगड़ा है. तो ये ट्रेंड चाहता था तुम देखो, इसीलिए ये स्लाइड मैंने तुम्हें दिया, that the trend has been quite tremendous, that in wheat and rice it has been low, but in other crops it has been comparatively high. Then you know, there are steps taken by the government for developing things. So one, apart from MSP, अच्छा अब ये पता है क्या तुम कर सकते हो, ये जो स्लाइड्स में डिस्कस कर रहा हूं तुमसे, उनको यूज कर सकते हो एज स्टेप्स टेकन बाय द गवर्नमेंट टू डबल फार्मर्स इनकम और स्टेप्स टेकन बाय द गवर्नमेंट टू प्रमोट एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्शन. तो एक ये हो गया MSP. दूसरा स्टेप हो गया enhanced access to agricultural credit. This can be taken as the second point. और enhanced access to agricultural credit के अंदर किस गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया? किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड स्कीम लॉन्च किया. ये 1998 से ये स्कीम चल रहा है, लेकिन 2019-20 onwards and 2021 onwards it has been introduced even for the animal husbandry sector, and it has been introduced even for fishery sector. तो ये स्कीम जो है पहले सिर्फ इंट्रोड्यूस्ड था फॉर, अच्छा इसकी अनाउंसमेंट हुई थी 2018-19 में. तो जब आप सर्वे पढ़ेंगे तो वहाँ वो लिखे हैं कि 2018-19 से हमने ये इंट्रोड्यूस किया. Of course, अगर पूछेंगे when was it introduced, the answer will be 2018-19. But if they ask you when was it notified, then 1920 and 2021 for animal husbandry and fishery. And you know already there are 1 lakh Kisan credit cards for fishermen, 1 lakh, and 9.5 lakh Kisan credit card for animal husbandry. 1 lakh Kisan credit card for fishermen and 9.5 lakh Kisan credit card for animal husbandry. So all this we see across. Then of course there is interest subvention scheme, as I was telling you that the government has introduced interest subvention scheme, जिसके अंदर short term agricultural loan दे रही है सरकार up to 3 lakh rupees at 7% per annum. You know this interest subvention scheme 7% per annum पे up to 3 lakh rupees का लोन दे रही है सरकार, और इसको अब मॉडिफाई भी किया गया है. अनदर 3% बेनिफिट, मतलब 7% की जगह 4% पे लोन मिल जाएगा फॉर टाइमली रिपेमेंट. अनदर 3% बेनिफिट फॉर टाइमली रिपेमेंट. So 7% is the loan that the government has given, or money that the government has given, 7% per annum up to rupees 3 lakh, and another 3% benefit will be given. मतलब लोन का effective rate 4% हो जाएगा अगर timely repayment कर दी जाए. So Kisan credit card, interest subvention scheme and PM Matsya Sampada Yojana that has been introduced from 2020-21, mainly focusing on fisheries sector with a long term budget of 20,000 crore. इस साल 6,000 करोड़ दिए गए हैं मत्स्य संपदा योजना को. That is again for interest subvention schemes for fishermen, helping them with loans to buy equipments, buy trawlers, also helping them for cold storage chain development facility and so on. That is under Matsya Sampada Yojana. Then the next thing that we see is continuous increase in agricultural credit to the sector, which I was just discussing with you. And the idea there is to make as much as possible formal loans. अब देखो 8.5 lakh crore was the loan targeted given in 2014-15. 18.6 lakh crore is the loan given in 21-22. और 2022-23 में it is expected that we are touching around 20 lakh crore of loan to agricultural sector. So 22, again we don't have the entire data at the moment, but 2022-23 it is expected that around 20 lakh crore is the loan touched for agricultural sector. Now what that does is it promotes investment, because people take loan and then that investment gets promoted by developing structure in agriculture. And what it also does is it promotes farmers' accessibility to new equipment, farmers' accessibility to buying good quality seed, farmers' accessibility to transporting their commodity to the markets. So that increases agricultural productivity. ये जो लोन दिए जा रहे हैं एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर में, उससे एक से एक ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की फैसिलिटी, कोल्ड स्टोरेज चेन की फैसिलिटी, मार्केटिंग की फैसिलिटी, ये सीड खरीदने की फैसिलिटी, फर्टिलाइज़र खरीदने की फैसिलिटी, ये सब मिलती हैं और उससे ये इम्प्रूवमेंट है. सो दिस इज़ अनदर थिंग, कंटिन्यूइंग एग्रीकल्चरल क्रेडिट to improve agricultural sector. Then of course farm mechanization is another factor that has contributed heavily to agricultural growth in India, and government has been taking steps for farm mechanization. अब ये क्यों mechanization ज़रूरी है? जैसा मैं अभी तुम्हें बता रहा था, एवरेज साइज ऑफ लैंड होल्डिंग इंडिया में घटता जा रहा है, तो इसलिए प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत है. तो एक गवर्नमेंट ने सब मिशन ऑन एग्रीकल्चरल मैकेनाइजेशन शुरू किया है. sub-mission on agricultural mechanization, where the government gives training and provides demonstration to the farmers to adapt to new technology. Government gives training and allows the farmers the demonstration to adapt to new agricultural machinery and technology, and also gives proper facility to the farmers to procure farm machinery or at least get it on rent. तो ट्रेनिंग मिलता है फार्मर को, साथ में डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन करके दिखाया जाता है यूज़ कैसे करो, और आसानी से प्रोक्योर कर सकें उसके लिए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को असिस्ट किया जाता है कि किसान के लिए उपलब्धता कराई जा सके, दैट फार्मर शुड बी एबल टू प्रोक्योर द थिंग्स फॉर द गवर्नमेंट. देन ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर कस्टम हायरिंग सेंटर्स. हायरिंग सेंटर्स जैसे जहाँ से आप ट्रैक्टर रेंट पे ले सकते हो, हार्वेस्टर्स रेंट पे ले सकते हो, सीड ब्रीडर्स रेंट पे ले सकते हो, तो फार्मर्स के लिए मशीन यूज़ करना आसान बनाने की कोशिश. हाईटेक हब्स फॉर प्रमोटिंग एक्सटेंशन सर्विसेज, यहाँ पे रिसर्च हो और इनके थ्रू एक्सटेंशन सर्विसेज प्रमोट हो. लेट्स हैव रिसर्च ओवर हियर and then extension services to be promoted, that is promoting high tech hubs. And farm machinery banks, farm machinery banks are creating hubs और creating local areas, और वहाँ पे farm machinery का एक बैंक create किया जाए जिनके पास farm machinery है यहाँ ला के रखे या किसान मिलकर इनको इस्तेमाल करें और इससे productivity बढ़ाई जा सके. So that is for farm mechanization that things have been worked upon. Then government has also gone for chemical free India, for organic and natural farming. Again 44.3 organic farmers are there, that's one of the highest in the world, and 59.1 lakh hectare area was brought under organic farming in 21-22. Some people say, why are we promoting organic farming? Because there is a huge market for it. Some people say, look at what happened to Sri Lanka when they promoted it, but that was because Sri Lanka jumped very quickly and Sri Lanka put all its land under organic farming. India is not even putting 10% of its land under organic farming at the moment. So there is no major issue for India at the moment to shift to organic farming. Also, the government has taken initiatives for the purpose of developing Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, then Mission Organic Value Chain Development for Northeastern region, FPOs being established, and Bharatiya Prakritik Krishi Paddhati. ये सारी चीज़ें सरकार ने शुरुआत की हैं. परंपरागत कृषि विकास योजना के अंदर फार्मर्स ने कहा है, गवर्नमेंट ने कहा है कि आप क्लस्टर्स डेवलप कीजिए, क्लस्टर डेवलपमेंट of 20 hectare, cluster development of 20 hectare minimum 20 हेक्टेयर ज़मीन पे, और किसानों को 50,000 रुपये मिलेंगे इसमें पर हेक्टेयर. द फार्मर्स विल बी गिवन 50,000 रुपीज़ पर हेक्टेयर फॉर 3 years. All right, 50,000 per hectare for 3 years to promote this Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana for organic farming and so on. And this will be through cluster scheme कि अगर किसी के पास आधा एकड़ ज़मीन है, 1 एकड़ ज़मीन है, इकट्ठा करो, अपना एक FPO बना लो या कोऑपरेटिव बना लो और अप्लाई कर दो इस स्कीम के लिए. So this is for a cluster approach that this has been brought across. Also the government has said that the organic inputs will be provided directly to the farmers through direct benefit transfers. So organic inputs directly provided to the farmers through direct benefit transfers. That is what will be given. So this is huge support by the government under the given scheme, and under this scheme 32,000 plus clusters are already getting covered, covering more than 6.4 lakh hectares. Under this scheme 32,000 clusters are already getting covered, covering more than 6.4 lakh hectares. So that's another thing that we are moving towards, and that's a welcome change that we are having. Mission Organic Value Chain Development for Northeastern region is now picking up. The economic survey says that more than 177 FPOs, FCOs have been created, and 1.5 lakh farmers covering 1.7 lakh hectares are now covered under that. So 1.5 lakh farmers now included under it, and 1.7 lakh hectares area covered under it, and 177 FPOs, farmer producer organizations or farmer cooperative organizations, are now covered under it. And then of course Bharatiya Prakritik Krishi Vid Paddhati, in which zero budget natural farming is being practiced since 1920, and 4.09 lakh hectare of land has been brought under it. 8 states of India are now practicing it. 4.09 lakh hectares of land brought under it, and 8 states of India are now practicing it. These states are आंध्र प्रदेश, ये आपको प्रीलिम्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बता रहा हूँ, कभी कभी यही सब चीज़ें पिक कर लेते हैं सर्वे से और एक स्टेटमेंट दे देंगे कि इस स्टेट में हो रहा है या नहीं भारतीय प्राकृतिक कृषि पद्धति का इस्तेमाल. सो आंध्र प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, केरला, you know, these are the states developing on that. Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Odisha, you know, these are the states where it is being practiced. Madhya Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So these are the 8 states: Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Prelims के point of view से इनको थोड़ा याद करके रख लोगे. 20 hectare is the minimum area. Aparajita, I am answering your question. All right. बिहार में पैक्स चलते हैं अब है, PACS, वैसे सही है, it is in Saharsa, there is a CHC in Saharsa, that is also true. All right, then if you look at things further, the other important initiatives, PM Kisan scheme, ये सरकार ने शुरुआत की, 6,000 rupees given through DBT, फसल बीमा योजना, under which farmers have paid a premium of 25,186 and received claims amounting to 1.2 lakh crore, and it is said to be the largest insurance scheme covering farmers, insurance scheme जिसमें 5.5 करोड़ farmers participate कर रहे हैं, 5.5 crore farmers anywhere in the world. Also in terms of premium paid by the farmers, it is the 3rd largest insurance scheme anywhere in the world. Also remember, that is one. Also remember, there are 2 issues in Fasal Bima Yojana we should rectify as quickly as possible. One is lack of timely payment to the farmers, and second is lack of inducing farmers to join due to lack of information. तो अगर ये 2 चीज़ें हम सुधार लें तो फसल बीमा योजना can play a very important role in developing things better for us. इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ने एक बहुत अच्छा टेबल दिया है 8.1, वो अगर आप रेफर करो तो आपको काफ़ी मदद मिलेगी अगर कोई सवाल सिर्फ फसल बीमा योजना पे आ गया. If there is a specific question on Fasal Bima Yojana, then table 8.1 in economic survey will actually allow you to do much better. You know, so you can read through that table and that will actually allow you to see things much better. In fact, the table also informs that there have been several states in India, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, where the claim paid has been more than 100% of the gross premium that has been collected. So that shows some welcome change in Fasal Bima Yojana. Then of course, other than that, if schemes are Agricultural Infrastructure Fund, where a provision of 1 lakh crore has been done from 2021 to 25-26. इसमें एक important बात दिमाग में रखोगे, इस साल से सरकार ने निर्णय लिया है कि ये स्कीम 2032-33 तक चलेगी. पहले ये डिसाइड किया गया था कि ये स्कीम 2029-30 तक चलेगी. Earlier there was a decision that the scheme will be till 2029-30. Now the government has decided that the scheme will be for till 2032-33. So Agricultural Infrastructure Development Fund, it will be for all these: warehousing, primary processing units, hiring centers, sorting and grading units, cold storage projects, assessment units, post harvest management projects, community farming assets. All this will be developed across through Agricultural Infrastructure Fund. So the government has already decided upon that, but this is something that is a very good change. Apart from that, government has also talked about promoting ENAM, agricultural marketing through it, and already more than 1.7 crore farmers are participating in ENAM, and more than 2.39 lakh traders are participating through ENAM. 1250 APMC markets are covered under ENAM, and another 1500 APMC subsidiary markets are covered under ENAM. So we see that even for agricultural marketing, the infrastructure support is being developed, and electronic support for agricultural marketing is being developed. Infrastructure support is being developed, and electronic support for agricultural marketing is being developed. Along with that, the government has also set up Mission for Integrated Horticulture Development, MIDH, Mission for Integrated Horticulture Development. So उसके अंदर भी सरकार ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं that there are improved variety and quality seeds that are given to farmers for integrated horticultural development scheme, and then incentive for plantation crops is given. So improved fertilizer, improved seeds, improved incentive for plantation crop, and again post harvest management can be done better. So ये सारे schemes हैं जो infrastructure, marketing, पर्टिकुलर कमोडिटी प्रमोशन इनसे कनेक्ट हो जाते हैं और एग्रीकल्चर के लिए काफ़ी प्रॉस्परस हैं. सो दीज आर ऑल स्कीम्स दैट वी सी अक्रॉस इंडिया. Then of course there is climate smart farming practices that have been introduced by the government, which is going a big deal. PM Kusum, zero budget natural farming, satellite imaging of farming, and that is about allowing farming practices to be climate smart. You know कि ये सारी चीज़ें अब गवर्नमेंट प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं. और 10,000 से ऊपर एग्रीटेक स्टार्टअप्स हैं इंडिया में. तो उस केस में सर्वे ने कहा है कि इससे फार्मिंग टेक्निक्स को प्रमोशन ज़रूर मिलेगा बहुत ज़्यादा. यू नो दैट इज़ अनदर थिंग दैट द सर्वे हैज़ सजेस्टेड. देन यू नो there is this I have already talked to you, the mission for integrated development of horticulture for geographical specialization and so on. And then ENAM I just talked to you. So if you look at this, this is what the survey has been talking about. Then International Year of the Millets is what the government has done. You can use this as the millet map of India that the survey has given, that we are giving you, and thanks to the people who assist me in developing this, that they find these maps, attach it for you, and you can use them. So this is something that you know one can use across per se. And you know this is about India is already producing more than 50 million tons of millet, which is 80% of Asia's and 20% of global production. And millet is primarily a kharif crop, but it is also grown in rabi season in some places. The basic idea is to develop as much as possible startups for millet development. Now India has already developed 500 agri-value chains, 500 agricultural startups to create value chains. Value chain means millet marketing, millet storage, for millet development, processing and so on. तो ये एक बहुत अच्छा स्टेप है और इसको प्रमोट किया जा रहा है अंडर राष्ट्रीय कृषि विकास योजना रफ्तार. You know, in the राष्ट्रीय कृषि विकास योजना रफ्तार, this is being promoted. Raftar is remunerative approaches for agriculture and allied sector rejuvenation. You know, remunerative approaches for agriculture and allied sector rejuvenation. That is Raftar. Remunerative approaches for agriculture and allied sector rejuvenation. That is that is you know Pradhan Mantri Krishi Vikas Yojana. Sorry, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana Raftar. RKVY Raftar. All right. Okay. So this is for millet production. Some steps you can choose from here. That what are the steps we have taken for promoting millets. And then of course the government has promoted allied sector activities in animal husbandry and all. Again where the livestock sector grew at a CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, of 7.9%, and its contribution has increased to from 24.3% to 30.1% in agricultural GDP. ये जो percentage है वो agricultural GVA का है जो ये बढ़ता जा रहा है और ये शो कर रहा है कि धीरे धीरे इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर सिर्फ क्रॉपिंग और फार्मिंग से खुद को अलग करके दूसरी तरफ भी जा रहा है. उसी तरह से annual average growth rate of fisheries sector has been 7%. In fact, अगर हमें 2014-15 से ये डेटा ले लें तो करीब 10% है ये नंबर, एंड इसका शेयर जो है वो अब 6.7% है एग्रीकल्चरल जीवीए में। यहाँ तुम देखो, एक समय था जब क्रॉप्स 65% शेयर कवर करते थे और अलाइड एक्टिविटीज़ कवर करते थे 34% ऑड शेयर। अब अलाइड एक्टिविटीज़ का शेयर 45% हो गया और क्रॉप्स का 55। इट शोज डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर एंड इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग टेक्निक्स बीइंग प्रमोटेड इन इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर। अगर कभी कोई सवाल पूछते हैं इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग टेक्निक पे, ये डेटा यूज करो, सिल्वर रिवॉल्यूशन की बात करो, गोल्डन रिवॉल्यूशन की बात करो, बी कीपिंग की बात करो, वाइट रिवॉल्यूशन की बात करो और ब्लू रिवॉल्यूशन की बात करो। इन केस दे एवर आस्क यू अ क्वेश्चन ऑन एग्रीकल्चर and they ask you a question on integrated farming, talk about silver revolution, blue revolution, white revolution, golden revolution, beekeeping, pink revolution, and then frame your answer accordingly and highlight such data that all that has shown that in the last 10 years the share of pure crop has come down drastically in Indian agriculture. Then you know what are the steps government has taken for promoting this. अब ये तुम्हारे आंसर का हिस्सा बन जाएगा as steps taken by the government to promote integrated farming, to promote agricultural development. You know that becomes the factor part over there. Now see, when you look at this, Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund has been created, 15,000 crore rupees has been given for that. National Livestock Mission has been created. Livestock Health and Disease Control Scheme has been launched, 500 crore rupees has been given for that. National Animal Disease Control Program was launched last year in the budget to control foot and mouth disease and brucellosis. Again another 500 crore has been given for that. So this is to save animals from disease, prevent their early death, also to protect the animals better, promoting cow sheds, etc. Animal Infrastructure Development Fund will help in promoting even processing facilities, medication facilities. So the purpose is that let the farmer feel encouraged, and this is not only for cattle, this is also for poultry, this is also for sheep, goat, and all these things will also get promoted by that. Then of course there is fishery sector development, Matsya Sampada Yojana, Aquaculture Infrastructure Development Fund, and that has shown a huge result. In fact, fishery exports in India have now touched $8.5 billion in 2021-22. You know, $8.5 billion, that is fish and marine exports. So this is a welcome change that we see again in Indian context over the period. Then of course, the economic survey talks about Sehkar se Samriddhi. It says that this is about using cooperatives for creating prosperity, and there are 8.5 lakh registered cooperatives in India nurturing to the farmers' business. And economic survey says that the government has also created a ministry of cooperative in 2021 to promote better cooperative development in India, and they are also focusing on multi-state cooperative societies so that those cooperative societies which are spread across multiple states can get a better facility development for themselves, and they can coordinate better, they can sell their products better, they can give loans better, and that will help in improving overall Sehkar se Samriddhi. Prelims के point of view से ये कहानी याद रख लोगे, सबसे ज़्यादा cooperatives agriculture से related महाराष्ट्र में, फिर दिल्ली, फिर उत्तर प्रदेश, फिर तमिलनाडु. Top 4 states, if you remember, that will still do well, but this is about the largest number of cooperatives that we see established in India. In fact, survey आपको एक और box देता है, box 8.3, उसे भी आप पढ़ सकते हो. The box has some interesting information on new national cooperation policy. तो इंडिया ने जो न्यू नेशनल कोऑपरेशन पॉलिसी लॉन्च की कोऑपरेटिव्स के लिए, box 8.3 gives you a good idea as to how different central ministries, state ministries, they will come together, coordination will be developed between them, and a bill has been introduced for multi-state cooperative societies 2022. So we will have to wait as the bill gets passed in the parliament. Then of course, the next part, if you will see, food processing sector. this has been a big change again in India, and a very welcome change, that when we look at food processing sector, the average annual growth rate has been 8.3%, 12% plus people in registered manufacturing are working in food processing, and the value of agri-food exports has now become 10.9% of India's total exports. That's a welcome change we see in India. I am expecting all of you understand that food processing sector implies all those sectors that range from cutting the fruit and selling in the market, to processing the fruit, making juice out of them, developing dried onions, pickles, everything is food processing. Whenever you change the raw food into anything that can be converted into a new form, that's food processing. Also remember, when we call it a sunrise sector, it is the sector on which we are concentrating as the next big thing. So that is why sunrise sector. Then of course, that this is the sector that promises high growth in future. And why has the government addressed food processing? Because it addresses disguised unemployment, because people will now diversify themselves away from land and move towards other places. It also removes rural poverty by creating employment, by improving productivity. It gives food security because the shelf life of food will be preserved. और again देखना, इनको individual points बना लो, और कभी एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया आपसे कि फूड प्रोसेसिंग को डेवलप करने के लिए क्या करना चाहिए, या फूड प्रोसेसिंग के बेनिफिट्स क्या हैं इंडिया में, आप ये और एक्सपोर्ट वाला पॉइंट लिख दो, आपके 150 वर्ड बन जाएंगे. So this is what my purpose is, that if you get these points, you will be able to generate accordingly. Then of course, food inflation can be controlled because of better availability of food, suitability of food according to climate conditions, and so on. Then improved nutrition for people, because food can be changed in its method. So you know, we can have fortified wheat, we can have fortified rice, and iron fortified, calcium fortified, and all that can promote good nutrition. And of course, it will increase the shelf life of the food. These are the schemes: Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, formalization of micro food processing enterprises, one district, one product. Production linked incentive scheme has now been launched big time in food processing sector in India. And if you look at production linked incentive schemes in food processing sector, it's covering marine products, fresh fruits, it's covering vegetables, and so on. And already the government has approved 149 applications in this, and the scheme has been given around 800 crore rupees already. Also remember, Udaan 2.0 is a new version that has been introduced, where all fee of airport, all charges on the plane with respect to transportation charges, all charges with respect to parking charges, terminal navigational charges, everything will be waived off for those flights which are participating in Krishi Udaan 2.0. Also, the government is promoting this scheme in Northeast, promoting this scheme in Uttarakhand, hilly states and all, and trying to develop a mechanism by which quick transportation can take place for especially those crops which are highly perishable. So a quick transportation for those crops which are highly perishable. And the government has said that 28 airports are already a part of Krishi Udaan 2.0. You know, 28 airports are already a part of Krishi Udaan 2.0. So hilly regions, tribal regions, remote areas, they are the ones that are being targeted better. What is the big benefit? It will encourage the farmers to grow high value crops without worrying about the fact that they will be wasted before reaching the market. So that's a very good move that the government has per se undertaken. And then of course there is food security, social and legal commitment to the people of nation. ये एक आखिरी 2 पेज लिया है सर्वे ने इस चैप्टर में, जिसमें वो फूड सिक्योरिटी की बात करते हैं. तो नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट को अब प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना का नाम दिया गया है. ये बहुत पहले भी हम ये बात कर चुके हैं सर्वे के डिस्कशन में ही, सोशल सिक्योरिटी के वक्त. इसके अंदर अब लोगों को 5 kg फूड, व्हीट, राइस और मिलेट फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट मिलेगा. पहले इस पर 3 रुपीज़, 2 रुपीज़ एंड 1 रुपीज़ पर केजी लगता था. एक बात का ध्यान रखना, ये स्कीम अभी के लिए 2023-24 तक एक्सटेंड की गई है. इसके आगे इसके बारे में क्या होगा ये सरकार बाद में निर्णय लेंगे. So right now the scheme has been extended for 2023-24. What will happen later, the government will decide upon it gradually. and it covers 80 crore of India's population, which is 75% of rural and 50% of urban population. So that's again a huge growth. And the subsidized food grains of 1, 2, 3 rupees per kg has been removed, and 35 kg per family per month to 𝐴𝐤𝐤𝐜 has been continued. That continues even today. So that is there. So 𝐴𝐤𝐤𝐜 is the last mile, that those who are still behind the curve. And it says that the allocation of food grain under NFSA in 2022-23, the total allocation has been almost 105 million tons. तो आप देखो ये है 60 million tons, ये सबसे ज़्यादा allocation है NFSA के अंदर. Another 35.8 million tons जो पिछला प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना चल रहा था, जिसमें 5 kg फूड और भी दिया जा रहा था along with the regular food of NFSA, उसमें दिया गया 5 million tons approximately given under COVID allocation, and another under other welfare measures. So around 100 odd million tons is what we are giving under food allocation at the moment. In fact, this is 0.5 million tons and this is 0.5 million tons that is there. So essentially then what we have is approximately 100 million tons that we are looking at over here. 97, 98 million tons food grains distributed by government of India. इसमें एक important lesson भी है. अब सोचो इतना सरकार ने डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया, जबकि कोविड के लिए भी दिया, अलग से भी 5 kg दिए, और तब भी अगर हमारे यहाँ वीट प्रोडक्शन 100 मिलियन टन होता है और ऊपर से राइस प्रोडक्शन 130 मिलियन टन होता है, तो अखबार वाले लिखते हैं फूड की कमी हो जाएगी. कैसे भाई? अगर ये हमारा मैक्सिमम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है और 230 मिलियन टन है देश में, तो कैसे कमी हो जाएगी? तो आप जब अखबार पढ़ें तो कृपया इन बातों के नोट्स ना बनाएं, ये मेरी आपसे एक विनती है. दैट बी केयरफुल व्हेन दीज थिंग्स आर टोल्ड टू यू. Then of course what comes in is total food subsidy that the government has given. इसमें ध्यान रखना, this increase in food subsidy we see this because in this year many past dues of FCI were also repaid. ये important है. एक तुम्हें बीच में लगेगा कि अचानक ये ऐसा चलता चलता ऐसा जंप क्यों आया? ये जंप आया क्योंकि करीब 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए का FCI के ड्यूज थे, वो पे किया सरकार ने, और करीब 70,000 करोड़ के अदर ड्यूज थे टू अदर फूड प्रोक्योरमेंट इंडस्ट्रीज, वो पे किया. तो एक्चुअली यहाँ पर फूड सब्सिडी बढ़कर हुई थी करीब 2,50,000 करोड़, और ये और बढ़ा ही हुआ है उसके मुकाबले. तो ओवरऑल ये फूड सब्सिडी बिल हमारा काफ़ी हाई है, इसको कम करना ज़रूरी है. इस साल के बजट में इसे कम करके 1.9 लाख करोड़ लाया गया है. इसे वापस हमें कहीं यहीं लाने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए, तो समथिंग लाइक 1.4 1.5 लाख करोड़, एंड वी शुड टारगेट आवर फूड सब्सिडी बेटर. और जो पैसे बचें, द मनी वी सेव from this food subsidy expenditure should be used for nutrition subsidy, provide better iron, iodine, calcium and so on, so that people get better nutrition in India rather than only working on food subsidy. So that is again something we should take care of. Remember, agriculture is one of the most important sector for sustainable development, food security and inclusive growth. One of the most important sector for sustainable development, food security and inclusive growth, and that is why it is important that we should do as good as possible on agriculture. This can be your concluding line on any answer that you write on agriculture. That does us with this chapter. I'll see you tomorrow again at around 6 o'clock in the evening, and we will begin from here. I will update you on the timings, but approximately 6 o'clock in the evening we will do industries tomorrow. I'll say a bye-bye to you. Thank you. Have a great evening. And thanks a lot for supporting this program so much. I'm doing it for you. There is no other purpose. We don't advertise on our channel, so we are not commercialized. But the whole support I get from you and all the demand you make that bring up more videos encourages me a lot. Believe me, मैं आधे पैर पे भी पढ़ा दूंगा जितना encouragement आप लोग देते हो. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye to all of you.